wife left me with the milkman. Watching them drive away was perhaps the most miserable 3 hours of my entire You know, somebody once said that a wedding is a funeral where you can smell your own flowers. That's a harsh judgment even for me, ladies and gentlemen. I prefer to see it as a sexual relationship that has been ratified by the police. Call me old-fashioned. But it hasn't always worked out for me, as I say, you know, I wasn't to be. But yeah, take my first marriage, on my wedding day, the registrar. Do you take this woman to be a lawful wedded wife, etc.? Would you know? Or what are you trying to palm her off on me for? Didn't work out. As usual, a failed marriage led to a successful divorce. We split the house. I got the outside. Traditional. And that's when I made a pledge to myself, a song for every occasion. That's when I made a pledge. The day she went away, I made myself a promise. And that promise was, I'm not going to bother getting married again. I'm simply going to find a woman I don't like and give her everything I got. However, time has a corrosive effect on the male resolve in matters of the heart, and I elected to get married again, much to the distress of my more occult-minded friends who advised me against this course of action in the strongest possible terminology. Don't do it, Johnny. We've looked at your respective birth charts and it's never going to work out. Now, I didn't get to be a qualified medical practitioner through believing in this kind of hocus pocus. I'm a child of the Enlightenment, and as such, peer-reviewed science is the nearest thing I have to a superstition, so we're not going to be dismissive of these things. But you know what? They were right, I was wrong on this occasion. I had to go crawling back to those benighted pagans and eat some very expensive crow. Okay, you were right, I was wrong. Talk me through those birth charts, which they did to their credit. It was a long time ago, but the way I remember it is this. Apparently I'm an Aquarian and she's an arsehole. There's no way it's ever going to work out. Astrologically. I see that now. But I don't want to put anybody off marriage. There might be some impressionable young gentleman out there this evening thinking about making a legal move with his beloved in the not too distant future. I don't want to be the guy that pisses on his chips in the romantic department on account of department. They've done extensive sociological surveys on the subject of marriage, and they found out that guys that get married live a lot longer than guys that don't get married. A guy gets married, he outlives his bachelor friends. But that may be the case, but the story don't end there. That guy, he gets married, he outlives his bachelor friends, but he invariably dies before his wife. You know why that is, right? Because he wants to. I can't believe you didn't know the answer to that. Anyway, I don't want to go putting anybody on. But here's a little bit of advice to that impressionable young gentleman out there that thinking about making a legal move with his beloved in the not too distant future. Here's a little bit of advice. Women, they'll put up with a lot. It's a well-known fact, but they hate it when you get on their nerves. Never get on that woman's nerves. They hate that. Don't even do it the first time. It might come up 25 years later in a conversation you don't think it's appropriate. That time you got on her nerves 25 years ago. But if you really piss them off, then you get the silent treatment there. So it's worth putting in that little bit of extra effort. Take it or leave it. Anything I can do to help. Anything I can do to help. But none of this applies to me, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't be happier. Thanks for asking. And there is a point to prove it. Very often in the modern world, in England anyway, in the modern world, you know, a marriage, it begins with a heart and a diamond. 2 weeks later, you wish you had a club and a spade. That don't mind me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God Almighty that don't apply to me, and here's a poem to prove it. The title of which appears on the very last line of every subsequent verse with monotonous regularity. You'll get the message, I'm sure, exactly like this. The doorbell used to say ding dong, but now it bursts out into song. If I'm forlorn, it ain't for long. Could I be wrong, or have I fallen in love with my wife? Fare well, my fairy fae, we cared so slightly anyway. Call me crazy with a capital K, but I've fallen in love with my wife. I've fallen in love with my wife. She populates my days with my soul breakdown running rife. I have to keep her under my gaze. You love somebody, set them free. That don't make no sense to me. I'm keeping her under lock and key. I've fallen in love with my wife. I've fallen in love with my wife. Rainbows and butterflies occupy the summer skies. Imagine my surprise. I've fallen in love with my wife. I've fallen in love with my wife. She populates my days. It's keeping me awake at night. My head stuck in this funky smaze. Every time I talk, I mumble. Every time I walk, I stumble. I'm dancing like a drunken uncle. I've fallen in love with my wife. I've fallen in love with my wife. She populates my days. She's not that far from a carving knife. I have to keep her in my gaze. I don't swear, but what the hey, I'm alright and she's okay. Get out of our fucking way. I've fallen in love with my wife. I'm her fella, she's my mate. She steals the chips right off of my plate. No wonder I'm losing weight. I'm falling in love with my wife. I steal a kiss, she takes the piss. We lived a life of ignorant bliss. All that and now this. I've fallen in love with my wife.